On June 26, 1981, 14-year-old Kristen David left her home in Idaho Falls, Idaho, to deliver advertising flyers in her neighborhood. It was a sunny Friday afternoon. She was riding her bike. She planned to be home in time for dinner. Her route took her through a quiet residential area she knew well. She delivered flyers in this neighborhood before. Nothing seemed dangerous or unusual. But Kristen David never came home. She vanished somewhere between her house and the homes where she was delivering flyers, a distance of just a few blocks. No one saw her get into a car. No one heard her scream. No witnesses came forward. Kristen simply disappeared. For over 43 years, despite extensive searches, despite investigations, despite her family's tireless efforts, Kristen has never been found. Not her body, not her bike, not her clothing, nothing. How does a 14-year-old girl vanish in broad daylight in a residential neighborhood? Who took her? Where did she go? This is the Kristen David case, one of Idaho's oldest and most heartbreaking unsolved mysteries. This is Untold Cold Cases Files. The Kristen David case is haunting because of its simplicity and its cruelty. There was no late night, no dark alley, no risky behavior. Kristen was doing an innocent, ordinary task, delivering flyers in her own neighborhood on a Friday afternoon. She was in a residential area where people lived, where neighbors could see their streets from their windows. And yet, she vanished so completely that 43 years of investigation has produced almost no answers. This case has everything: a devastating disappearance of a young girl, a community shaken by fear, suspects who were never charged, theories ranging from stranger abduction to someone she knew, and a family that has spent over 4 decades searching for their daughter. Before we begin, I want to acknowledge the David family, Kristen's parents, siblings, and extended family who have lived with this nightmare for 43 years. They have never stopped searching for Kristen. If you have any information about Kristen David's disappearance, please contact the Idaho Falls Police Department or the Idaho State Police. Now, let's go back to 1981 to a 14-year-old girl who was earning extra money, who left her house on a Friday afternoon, and who never came home. Before we dive into Kristen's story, I need you to understand something. This case is 43 years old, but it can still be solved. Someone out there knows what happened to Kristen David. Someone saw something. Someone knows where she is. And that someone might see this video. Here's what I need you to do right now. First, subscribe to Untold Cold Cases Files. Every subscriber helps us reach more people. This video needs to reach people in Idaho Falls, people who lived there in 1981, people who might have information they didn't realize was important. Hit subscribe right now. Second, like this video. When this video gets high engagement, YouTube shows it to more people in Idaho, people interested in cold cases, people who might have connections to this case. Your like helps this video reach the person who has answers. Click that like button. Third, commit to sharing this video. Kristen's case is 43 years old. Most people don't remember it, but someone out there does. Someone knows something. Share this video on every platform you have. Post it in Idaho community groups. Send it to anyone who lived in Idaho Falls in the 1980s. Kristen David's family has been searching for 43 years. Let's help them find answers. Now let's get into Kristen's story. Kristen Ray David was born on December 31st, 1966, in Idaho Falls, Idaho. She grew up in a loving, stable family in this eastern Idaho city. Kristen was the daughter of Jerry and Carmen David. She had siblings, a close family that spent time together and supported each other. The David family was working class, hardworking, active in their community, close-knit and loving. Well known in Idaho Falls, those who knew Kristen described her as sweet and friendly, responsible and mature for her age, outgoing and social, popular with friends and classmates, someone who loved life and enjoyed being a teenager, trustworthy. Her parents trusted her to be responsible, not someone who would go with strangers or take risks. Kristen was a normal 14-year-old girl in 1981, on the cusp of high school, enjoying summer, spending time with friends, looking forward to the future. Physical description. This is important for any potential sightings or information. Age in 1981, 14 years old. Height, approximately 5 feet 1 inch to 5 feet 3 inches. Weight, around 100 to 110 pounds. Hair, blonde, shoulder-length straight. Eyes blue. Build, slender, petite. Distinguishing features. Described as very pretty, with a bright smile. By June 1981, Kristen had just finished 8th grade. She had completed middle school. She was looking forward to starting high school in the fall. She had plans, friends, activities. Summer was just beginning. Everything was normal. To understand this case, you need to understand Idaho Falls in the early 1980s. The city, population, around 40,000 people. Located in eastern Idaho. A relatively safe, quiet city. Family-oriented, close-knit community. Most people knew their neighbors. Crime rates were low compared to larger cities. The era, 1981, was a different time. Children had more freedom to roam neighborhoods. Parents didn't worry as much about abductions, though they should have. The concept of stranger danger wasn't as prominent. Kids rode bikes around neighborhoods without constant supervision. It was considered safe. But 1981 was also when awareness was beginning to change. High-profile child abduction cases were making headlines nationally. Adam Walsh had been abducted and murdered in Florida in July 1981, just weeks after Kristen disappeared. Parents were starting to become more cautious. But many communities, especially smaller cities like Idaho Falls, still felt safe. In summer 1981, Kristen had taken a job to earn extra money. The job: delivering advertising flyers and promotional materials. Door-to-door distribution in residential neighborhoods. A common job for teenagers at the time. Simple, straightforward work. Good way for a young teen to earn spending money. The work: Kristen would receive bundles of flyers. She would ride her bike to assigned neighborhoods. She would place flyers in mailboxes or on doorsteps. She'd been doing this for a little while. It wasn't her first time. She was familiar with the areas she delivered to. Safety. Kristen's parents thought this was a safe job. It was during daylight hours, in residential neighborhoods. Kristen was responsible and knew not to go into people's homes. Many teenagers did this kind of work. Friday, June 26, 1981, started as a completely normal day. Morning/afternoon. Kristen was home, enjoying her summer. She had plans to deliver flyers that afternoon. It was a beautiful, sunny day, perfect weather. She was in good spirits. Everything was normal. The plan: Kristen would ride her bike to the neighborhood where she was delivering flyers. It was a familiar area, not far from home. She would deliver the flyers and be home in time for dinner. Her parents expected her home by early evening. This was routine. She'd done it before. What Kristen was wearing. This is important for the investigation. Blue jeans. A light-colored top. Reports vary on exact details. Tennis shoes. Casual summer clothing, typical for a teenager in 1981. Her bicycle. Kristen was riding her bike. Exact description varies in reports. A standard bicycle, common for the era. She used it regularly for getting around. The bike disappeared with her. On June 26, 1981, Kristen was happy and normal, not upset or troubled, not running away. She had no reason to. Not in trouble. She was a good kid. Looking forward to summer activities. Planning to be home for dinner. Kristen David left her house on a Friday afternoon in June 1981 to deliver flyers. It was a simple, ordinary task. She'd be home soon, but Kristen never came home, and no one has seen her since. Let's reconstruct June 26, 1981, as carefully as possible, using witness statements, investigation records, and what little information exists. Early mid-afternoon, Kristen prepares to leave. The exact time Kristen left home varies slightly in different reports, but it was in the early to mid-afternoon, likely between 2 p.m. and 4 p.m. Kristen at home. She gathered the flyers she needed to deliver. She prepared her bike. She told her parents where she was going. She said she'd be home for dinner. She left the house. Her parents' perspective. This was routine. Kristen had done this before. They had no concerns. It was broad daylight in a residential neighborhood. They expected her home in a few hours. The route. Kristen's delivery route was in a residential neighborhood in Idaho Falls. The area. Quiet, middle-class residential streets. Homes with yards, families. The kind of neighborhood where kids played outside. Seemed safe and familiar. The distance. Not far from Kristen's home. A relatively short bike ride. She was delivering flyers to homes on specific streets. She knew the area. What happened, the timeline. This is where the case becomes frustrating because we have very little concrete information about what happened after Kristen left home. Kristen rode her bike from her home to the neighborhood where she was delivering flyers. What we know, she arrived in the area. She may have started delivering flyers. This is unclear. She was seen by at least one witness at some point, though details are limited. What we don't know, exactly how many flyers she delivered, how far she got in her route, where exactly she was when she disappeared. At some point during the afternoon of June 26, 1981, Kristen David vanished. The mystery, she was there one moment, riding her bike, delivering flyers. And then she was gone. No scream was heard. No struggle was witnessed. No one reported seeing her get into a car. She simply disappeared. There were some witness reports, though details are limited. Possible sightings. Some witnesses reported seeing a girl matching Kristen's description in the area that afternoon. At least one witness reported seeing her riding her bike. Some reports suggest she may have been seen talking to someone, though this is unconfirmed. The problem: witnesses' memories fade over time. 1981 was before the era of cell phones and constant documentation. People didn't think much of seeing a girl on a bike delivering flyers. It was normal. No one realized they were witnessing something significant until Kristen was reported missing. When did her family realize she was missing? As the afternoon turned to evening, Kristen's family expected her home. Early evening, dinner time approached. Kristen wasn't home. Her parents started to wonder where she was. They initially thought maybe she was running late. Growing concern. As time passed and Kristen still didn't come home, concern grew. Her parents began to worry. This wasn't like Kristen. She was responsible. They began calling friends, checking with neighbors. Evening, reporting Kristen missing. By evening on June 26th, it was clear something was wrong. The family's actions. They searched the neighborhood themselves. They drove the route Kristen would have taken. They called everyone they could think of. They reported Kristen missing to Idaho Falls Police. The initial police response. When Kristen was reported missing, the investigation begins. Police took the report seriously. A 14-year-old girl missing was concerning. Officers were dispatched to search for Kristen. They began interviewing family, friends, neighbors. They started investigating immediately. The search. Police searched the neighborhood where Kristen was delivering flyers. They drove through streets, looked in yards, checked parks. They looked for Kristen, her bike, any sign of her. They found nothing. What made this case immediately suspicious? Several factors made investigators believe Kristen had not run away. Kristen's character. She was a responsible, happy girl. No reason to run away. Close to her family. Good kid with no problems. She left everything. All her belongings were at home. She only had the flyers and her bike. No money, no extra clothes, nothing for running away. The circumstances. She disappeared during a simple, routine task. In broad daylight. In a residential neighborhood. While doing her job. No contact. Kristen never called home. Never reached out to friends. Simply vanished. By the time the sun set on June 26th, Kristen David had been missing for several hours. Police were actively searching. The family was in a state of panic. The community was beginning to learn a young girl was missing. The critical first hours. In missing persons cases, the first hours are critical. In Kristen's case, the family acted relatively quickly. Within a few hours, police responded. But by the time everyone realized Kristen was truly missing, precious hours had passed. If Kristen had been abducted, the perpetrator had time to leave the area. Evidence was already degrading. The trail was going cold. What happened to Kristen? This is the central question that has haunted investigators and the David family for 43 years. Somewhere between leaving her home and the neighborhood where she was delivering flyers, Kristen David vanished. The possibilities. She was abducted by someone in a vehicle. She was lured away by someone she knew or trusted. She encountered someone who overpowered her. She was taken so quickly and quietly that no one witnessed it. The reality. Whatever happened to Kristen happened fast. It happened in a way that didn't attract attention. It happened in broad daylight in a residential area. And it was done by someone who left no trace. Kristen's bicycle has never been found. The bike disappeared with Kristen. This suggests whoever took Kristen also took her bike or disposed of it. where Kristen and the bike are together wherever she is. The advertising flyers Kristen was delivering. Some may have been delivered. This is unclear. Some are presumably with Kristen when she disappeared. They were never found. In the immediate aftermath, no evidence was found. No witnesses who saw an abduction. No vehicles identified. No suspicious characters reported initially. No physical evidence at any scene. Kristen David had vanished without a trace. When a 14-year-old girl disappears in a small city like Idaho Falls, the entire community responds. Let's look at what happened in the days, weeks, and months after Kristen vanished. The immediate search, June 26th to 27th, 1981. That night, police continued searching through the night. Volunteers joined the search. The neighborhood was canvassed. Streets, yards, parks were searched. Flashlights in the dark, calling Kristen's name. Nothing was found. The next day, June 27th, the search intensified. More volunteers, more police resources, organized search parties. Still nothing. The expanding search. Over the following days and weeks. Search areas. The neighborhood where Kristen was delivering flyers. Surrounding neighborhoods. Parks and open spaces in Idaho Falls. The Snake River, which runs through Idaho Falls. Outlying rural areas. Any place Kristen might be. Search methods. Ground searches with hundreds of volunteers. Search dogs, tracking and cadaver dogs. Helicopter searches. Diving teams in the Snake River and other water bodies. Door-to-door gunfishing. What was found? Nothing. No trace of Kristen. No bike. No clothing. No evidence. The community response. Idaho Falls rallied around the David family. Volunteer efforts. Thousands of volunteers helped search. Community members posted flyers. Local businesses offered support. Churches held prayer vigils. The entire city was looking for Kristen. Media coverage. Local news covered the story extensively. Regional media picked it up. Missing person posters were distributed throughout Idaho. Kristen's face was everywhere. Idaho Falls Police Department led the investigation. Witness interviews. Police interviewed hundreds of people. Anyone who might have seen Kristen that day. Neighbors in the area where she disappeared. Friends, family, acquaintances. Anyone who had contact with Kristen. Persons of interest. Police looked at anyone who might have had opportunity. Sex offenders in the area. The registered sex offender databases weren't as comprehensive in 1981. Anyone with a history of violence or inappropriate behavior with children. Anyone seen in the area that day. Over the years, several people have been considered suspects or persons of interest. Suspect number 1, the stranger abduction theory. The theory, a stranger driving through the neighborhood saw Kristen. Opportunity presented itself. He grabbed her, possibly offering a ride or help. He took her somewhere. He killed her and disposed of her body. Why this theory? Most child abductions are by strangers or acquaintances. No evidence linking anyone Kristen knew. The random, sudden nature of the disappearance. Suspect number 2, someone from the neighborhood. The theory, someone who lived in or frequented the neighborhood where Kristen was delivering flyers. Someone who saw her repeatedly and planned to abduct her. Someone who knew the area well. Someone who could take Kristen without attracting attention because they belonged there. Investigated. Police looked at residents of the neighborhood. Anyone with suspicious backgrounds. Anyone acting strangely after Kristen's disappearance. Suspect number 3. Someone Kristen knew. The theory. Kristen was taken by someone she knew or trusted. She may have accepted a ride from this person. She may have been lured away. This person betrayed her trust. Why this theory? Kristen was described as cautious and responsible. She might not have gotten into a stranger's car easily, but she might have accepted help from someone she knew. Specific suspects. While no one has ever been charged, there have been persons of interest. Convicted sex offenders. Several convicted sex offenders were in the Idaho Falls area in 1981. Some were investigated in connection with Kristen's case. DNA technology, not available in 1981, has been used in more recent years to try to connect anyone to the case. Suspicious individuals. People who acted strangely after Kristen's disappearance. People who left the area suddenly. People with alibis that didn't check out. People whose stories changed. The problem, without physical evidence, without a body, without witnesses, it's very hard to build a case. Suspicion is not enough for charges. Prosecutors need evidence beyond a reasonable doubt. Various people of interest were given polygraph, lie detector tests. Results of these tests vary. Polygraphs are not always reliable. Some people passed, some showed deception. But polygraph results aren't admissible in court in many jurisdictions. The biggest challenge in Kristen's case is the complete absence of physical evidence. What wasn't found? Kristen's body, her bicycle, her clothing, the flyers she was delivering, any sign of struggle, any DNA or forensic evidence, any witnesses to the actual abduction. Why this matters? Without evidence, it's nearly impossible to build a prosecutable case. Without a body, some legal jurisdictions hesitate to file charges, though no body cases can be prosecuted. The absence of evidence means theories remain theories. Based on the investigation, several theories emerged. Theory 1. Quick abduction by vehicle. Someone in a vehicle saw Kristen, pulled up next to her, either lured her in or forced her in, drove away quickly. The whole thing took seconds. No one witnessed it because it was so fast. Theory 2. Lured away. Someone Kristen knew or trusted offered her a ride, help, or told her something. She went with this person voluntarily, not knowing the danger. Once away from the neighborhood, she was overpowered. The person killed her and disposed of her body. Theory 3. Taken to a nearby location. Kristen was taken to a house or building in or near the neighborhood. She was held there briefly. She was killed. Her body was transported later to be disposed of. This would explain why no one saw a vehicle speeding away. Over the years, searches have focused on finding Kristen's remains. Areas searched: the Snake River and its banks, rural areas outside Idaho Falls, construction sites, areas that were being developed in the 1980s, any location connected to suspects, tips from psychics and other sources, though these are rarely reliable. Recent searches. In more recent years, cold case detectives have revisited the case. New technology, ground-penetrating radar, advanced DNA analysis has been used. Some areas have been researched with better equipment. Results. Despite decades of searching, Kristen's body has never been found. This is one of the most frustrating aspects of the case. The David family has lived with this nightmare for 43 years. No closure. Not knowing what happened to Kristen. Not knowing if she's alive or dead, though everyone assumes the worst. Not being able to lay her to rest. Living with questions every single day. The hope that won't die. Despite the decades, the family has never stopped hoping for answers. They've never stopped searching. They've never given up. Where the case stood after the initial investigation. After the first months and years. The trail had gone cold. No solid suspects. No physical evidence. No witnesses. No body. Kristen David had vanished, and no one knew where she was. The case became a cold case. Unsolved, frustrating, heartbreaking. But it was never closed, and investigators never stopped working on it. Okay, I need to pause for a moment, because what I'm about to tell you is going to be both frustrating and important. This case is 43 years old. That means anyone who was an adult in 1981 is now in their 60s, 70s, or 80s. Time is running out for witnesses to come forward. But someone out there knows something, and that someone needs to see this video. If you haven't subscribed yet, do it right now. Here's why. The David family has been searching for Kristen for 43 years. They've endured 4 decades of not knowing, of hoping, of searching. They need help. They need this case solved. When you subscribe to Untold Cold Cases Files, you're helping keep cases like Kristen's alive. You're helping reach people who might have information. Hit that like button. This video needs to reach people who lived in Idaho Falls in 1981. People who were in that neighborhood on June 26, 1981. Anyone who might have seen something suspicious. Anyone who knows someone who acted strangely after that date. You pushes this video to more people. Do it now. Share this video everywhere. Post it in Idaho community groups. Send it to anyone who lived in Idaho in the 1980s. Share it with true crime communities. Share it with anyone who might have connections to Idaho Falls. Someone watching this video might be the person who finally solves this case. But only if you share it. Okay, let's continue with the theories about what happened to Kristen. For 43 years, people have asked, What happened to Kristen David? Let's examine the theories. Theory 1. Stranger abduction. Kristen was abducted by a stranger, someone passing through the neighborhood who saw an opportunity and took it. Evidence supporting this theory. Random target. Kristen may have been a target of opportunity. Wrong place, wrong time. A predator saw a young girl alone and acted. No connection found. Despite extensive investigation, no one in Kristen's life has been definitively connected to her disappearance. This suggests a stranger. The era. The early 1980s saw numerous child abductions by strangers. Serial killers and predators were active. It was a dangerous time for children. Similar cases. Other children disappeared in similar circumstances around the same era. Some were victims of serial killers or predators. Evidence against this theory. No witnesses. No one reported seeing a suspicious vehicle or person. A stranger abduction in broad daylight usually has witnesses. The bike. The bike disappeared with Kristen. A stranger abduction would likely leave the bike behind. Taking the bike suggests more planning. Likelihood, high. This is considered one of the more likely scenarios by investigators. Theory 2. Someone Kristen knew. Kristen was taken by someone she knew. A neighbor, family friend, acquaintance, or someone she trusted. Evidence supporting this theory. Kristen was cautious. By all accounts, Kristen was responsible. She likely wouldn't have gotten into a stranger's car easily, but she might have accepted help from someone she knew. No struggle. There's no evidence of a struggle or Kristen fighting back. This suggests she went willingly at first. She may have trusted the person initially. Knowledge of her route. Someone who knew Kristen was delivering flyers. Someone who knew where she'd be. Someone who planned to intercept her. Evidence against this theory. Everyone was investigated. Police looked at everyone in Kristen's life. No one stood out as obviously guilty. No physical evidence connected anyone. Family and friends cleared. Kristen's immediate family and close friends were investigated and cleared. No one in her close circle seemed to have motive or opportunity. Likelihood, medium. Possible, but no specific person has been identified. Theory 3. Kidnapped and held captive initially. Kristen was kidnapped and held captive for a period of time before being killed. Evidence supporting this theory. Cases like this exist. Other victims have been held captive before being killed. Predators sometimes keep victims alive for days, weeks, or even years. No immediate body discovery. Kristen's body wasn't found near where she disappeared. This could mean she was taken elsewhere and held. Evidence against this theory. No sightings. Kristen was never seen after June 26, 1981. No credible sightings reported. If held captive, there's usually some chance of being seen. Usually bodies are eventually found. When victims are held and later killed, bodies are usually discovered eventually. Kristen has never been found. Likelihood, low. While possible, there's no evidence supporting this theory specifically. Theory 4. Killed quickly and body hidden. Kristen was abducted, killed relatively quickly, possibly that same day, and her body was hidden in a location where it has never been found. Evidence supporting this theory. No sightings after disappearance. Kristen was never seen again after June 26, 1981. This suggests she was killed relatively quickly. Body disposal. Idaho has vast rural areas, mountains, forests. A body could be hidden in numerous locations. The Snake River could have carried a body far downstream. Decomposition and time. After 43 years, remains would be skeletal, scattered by animals, buried by time. Hard to find, even if searchers were in the right area. Evidence against this theory. Extensive searches. The area has been searched extensively. Surely someone would have found something in 43 years. Likelihood, high. Most investigators believe this is what happened. Kristen was killed and her body hidden or disposed of in a way that it's never been found. Theory 5. Kristen is still alive, extremely unlikely. Kristen is still alive somewhere, either held captive all these years or living under a new identity. Evidence supporting this theory. No body found. After 43 years, no remains have been discovered. Maybe that's because she's not dead. Evidence against this theory. No sightings in 43 years. Not one credible sighting. In the age of the internet and facial recognition, someone would have been identified. No contact. Kristen has never reached out to family, never contacted friends, never accessed her identity. Age progression. Kristen would be 57 years old now. Living for 43 years without leaving any trace is virtually impossible. Likelihood, extremely low. While families always hope, the reality is Kristen is almost certainly deceased. The most likely scenario, based on all available evidence, investigators believe Kristen David was abducted on June 26, 1981, by someone, likely a stranger, possibly someone she knew, while delivering flyers in an Idaho Falls neighborhood. She was taken in a vehicle, likely quickly and without witnesses. She was killed relatively soon after, possibly that same day or within a few days. Her body was disposed of in a location where it has not been found, possibly in the Snake River, in a remote rural area, or buried somewhere. Her bicycle was disposed of with her or separately. The person who killed Kristen may have been a stranger passing through Idaho Falls, been someone who lived in or near the area, acted alone or with others, killed before or killed again. Why Kristen hasn't been found? Her body is in a remote or hidden location. Time, decomposition, and nature have made remains hard to identify. Searches haven't covered the right area. Pure bad luck in searchers missing the location. What we can say with confidence: Kristen did not run away. She did not die by accident. She was taken by someone. Someone out there knows what happened, and that someone may still be alive. It's been 43 years since Kristen David disappeared. Let's talk about what has happened in the decades since, the suspects who have been investigated, and where the case stands today. The 1980s, the first decade. Ongoing investigation. Idaho Falls police continued working the case throughout the 1980s. Tips came in regularly. Leads were followed. Searches continued. But no breakthrough. The family struggle. The David family lived in limbo. Not knowing became a special kind of torture. Birthdays, holidays, graduations, all marked by Kristen's absence. They continued searching, hoping, praying. Community impact. Idaho Falls changed after Kristen's disappearance. Parents became more cautious. Children were watched more carefully. The sense of safety was shattered. People locked their doors. The 1990s, the second decade. Case goes colder. As years passed, the trail grew colder. Witnesses' memories faded. Physical evidence, if any existed, degraded. The case received less active attention, but never closed. Idaho Falls police never closed the case. It remained an active investigation. Detectives periodically reviewed it. New leads were still followed. Technology advances. DNA technology became available in the 1990s. This offered new hope for cold cases. But without Kristen's body or physical evidence from a crime scene, DNA couldn't help much. The 2000s renewed efforts. Cold case reviews. Idaho Falls Police and Idaho State Police began reviewing old cold cases with fresh eyes. New detectives looked at Kristen's case. Old evidence was re-examined. Witnesses were re-interviewed. Advances in technology. Better DNA analysis. Computer databases. Digital records. New search technologies. Media attention. True crime shows began featuring Kristen's case. Internet forums discussed the case. Websites dedicated to missing persons included Kristen. Renewed public interest. Specific suspects and persons of interest. Over the years, several individuals have been investigated in connection with Kristen's disappearance. Person of interest number 1, local resident with criminal history. Who? A man who lived in or near Idaho Falls in 1981. Had a history of violence or inappropriate behavior. Was in the area at the time of Kristen's disappearance. Why investigated? His background made him a suspect. He may have been in the area where Kristen disappeared. His alibi was weak or inconsistent. Outcome: no physical evidence linked him to Kristen. He was never charged. Some investigators still consider him a person of interest. Person of interest number 2, transient/drifter. Who? A man who was passing through Idaho Falls in 1981. May have had a history of crimes against children. Left the area shortly after Kristen's disappearance. Why investigated? Timing of his presence in Idaho Falls. Criminal history. Sudden departure from the area. Outcome. Difficult to track down due to transient lifestyle. May have been ruled out through investigation. Or may have died since 1981. Person of interest number 3. Serial offender. Who? A known serial offender who was active in the western United States in 1980s. May have been in Idaho or neighboring states around the time of Kristen's disappearance. Why investigated? Pattern of crimes matching Kristen's case. Geographic proximity. Timeline fits. Outcome. Some serial offenders have been investigated. None definitively connected to Kristen's case. DNA comparisons done where possible. The challenge with suspects. The fundamental problem in Kristen's case is no physical evidence, no crime scene, no DNA, no forensic evidence, no body. Without evidence, suspicion alone isn't enough. Can't charge someone based on theory. Need concrete proof for prosecution. The frustration. Investigators may have strong suspicions about certain individuals, but can't prove it beyond reasonable doubt. Justice remains elusive. Over the decades, searches for Kristen have continued. Organized searches on anniversaries of her disappearance. When new leads emerge. When new technology becomes available. Family organized efforts. Areas searched. The Snake River repeatedly. Rural areas around Idaho Falls. Construction sites. Places being developed. Properties connected to suspects. Based on tips from various sources. Technology used. Cadaver dogs. Ground-penetrating radar. Sonar in water searches. Drone technology in recent years. Satellite imagery analysis. Results. Despite decades of searching, nothing has been found. Not one piece of evidence. Not one trace of Kristen. After 43 years, the David family has aged, but their determination hasn't. Kristen's parents have aged from young adults to elderly. Have lived their entire adult lives without knowing what happened to their daughter. Some family members may have passed away without answers. Those still alive continue to search. Kristen's siblings grew up without their sister, lived their entire adult lives with this loss. Some continue to actively search and advocate. Extended family. The entire family has been affected. Cousins, aunts, uncles, all impacted. The loss ripples through generations. What Kristen would be today? If Kristen had lived, she would be 57 years old today, as of 2024. Her life. She would have graduated high school in 1985, possibly married, had children, had a career, a life, been a mother, maybe a grandmother by now. Instead, she remains forever 14 in photos. Forever this smiling teenager. Forever frozen in time. Similar cases in Idaho. Kristen's case is not the only unsolved missing persons case in Idaho. Other cases. Several other children and adults have disappeared in Idaho over the years. Some cases have been solved, others remain cold. Investigators look for connections between cases. Could a serial offender be responsible for multiple disappearances? The current investigation, 2024. As of 2024, Kristen's case status, official status, remains open with Idaho Falls Police Department. Idaho State Police also involved. FBI has been consulted. Case is reviewed periodically. Active efforts. Tips are still accepted and investigated. New technology is applied when available. DNA databases are checked against any evidence, though physical evidence is limited. Social media keeps the case alive. Challenges. 43 years is a long time. Witnesses have died. Evidence has degraded. Trail is ice cold, but there's still hope. Cold cases have been solved after longer periods. New technology continues to emerge. Someone out there knows something. A deathbed confession could come. Someone's conscience could finally break. What would solve this case? Discovery of remains. The most likely break would be finding Kristen's body. A farmer, hiker, construction worker finding remains. DNA could then identify them as Kristen. Possibly forensic evidence on the remains. Confession. The perpetrator confessing, possibly on their deathbed. An accomplice coming forward. Someone who has kept the secret deciding to tell. New witness. Someone who was too afraid to come forward before. Someone who saw something but didn't realize its importance. Someone whose memory is triggered by seeing this case. Technology. Advances in DNA technology. Genealogical DNA, as used in other cold cases. Better search technology, finding remains. The likelihood of solving this case. After 43 years, the reality is challenges. Time makes solving harder each year. Physical evidence has degraded. Vitnessesti. Memories fade. But success stories exist. Cold cases from the 1960s, 70s, and 80s have been solved in recent years. DNA technology has cracked cases thought unsolvable. Genealogical DNA has identified killers decades later. Justice can still happen. For Kristen, the lack of physical evidence is the biggest obstacle. But a confession, discovery of remains, or new witness could still solve it. Hope remains. The message to the perpetrator. If the person who took Kristen is still alive and reading this, you've carried this secret for 43 years. You've lived your life while Kristen's family has lived in agony. You've known what happened while they've been tormented by not knowing. Maybe you were young in 1981. Maybe you're old now. Maybe you're dying. Maybe your conscience bothers you. You can still do the right thing. You can tell what happened. You can tell where Kristen is. You can give her family the closure they desperately need. It's never too late to do the right thing. For 43 years, the David family has lived with the nightmare of not knowing what happened to Kristen. Let's talk about their journey and where things stand today. In the days and weeks after Kristen disappeared, the family's response. They organized searches. They distributed flyers. They spoke to media. They cooperated fully with police. They did everything possible to find Kristen. The community support. Idaho Falls rallied around the family. Volunteers searched for weeks. Donations came in. Prayer vigils were held. The community grieved together. The David family has had to live with the worst kind of uncertainty. Not knowing. Is Kristen alive or dead? Almost certainly dead, but not knowing for sure. Did she suffer? The thought that haunts every parent. Where is she? Not being able to visit a grave. Who took her? The monster who destroyed their lives. Every milestone. Kristen's 15th birthday, without Kristen. Her 16th birthday, the age she would have gotten her driver's license. High school graduation, her class graduated without her. Her 18th birthday, she would have been an adult. Her 21st birthday, milestone birthdays marked by absence. Every year since, 43 years of birthdays, Christmases, Thanksgivings without Kristen. The ripple effects. Family relationships strained by grief. Siblings growing up in the shadow of tragedy. Parents aging under the weight of loss. The entire family structure changed forever. Despite the decades, the David family never stopped searching. Regular searches. On anniversaries of Kristen's disappearance. Organized search parties. Following up on tips. Never giving up. Media engagement. The family has done interviews over the years. Appeared on news programs. Participated in documentaries. Used social media to keep Kristen's case alive. Working with investigators. Maintained close contact with Idaho Falls police. Provided any information that might help. Pushed for continued investigation. Never let the case go cold from lack of family advocacy. Living with unresolved loss for over 4 decades takes an enormous toll. Physical health. The stress of grief affects physical health. The family has aged under this burden. Some family members may have passed away without answers. Mental health. Unresolved grief is particularly difficult. No closure, no ability to fully process the loss. PTSD from the trauma. Depression, anxiety. Relationships. Tragedy can either bring families together or tear them apart. The David family has had to navigate grief while maintaining family bonds. Each family member processes loss differently. The David family is not alone. Support groups. Families of missing persons often connect, sharing experiences with those who understand, supporting each other through the nightmare. National organizations. National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. National Missing and Unidentified Persons System, NAMAS. Various advocacy groups. Lessons from Kristen's case. Kristen's disappearance taught important lessons. 1. Stranger danger is real. Children can be targeted anywhere, even in broad daylight in safe neighborhoods. Constant vigilance is necessary. Even simple tasks like delivering flyers can be dangerous. 2. Report immediately. The David family acted relatively quickly, but every minute matters. Trust your instincts. If something feels wrong, call police immediately. Don't wait. 3. Preserve evidence. Crime scenes can be anywhere. Don't disturb potential evidence. Let professionals handle the investigation. 4. Community matters. Idaho Falls came together for the David family. Community support helps families survive. Never underestimate the power of people caring. 5. Never give up. The David family's persistence keeps Kristen's case alive. As long as families fight for justice, there's hope. Cold cases can be solved decades later. Though her life was cut short, Kristen's case has had impact. Awareness. Her case raised awareness about child safety. Parents became more cautious. Communities more vigilant. Other cases. Attention to Kristen's case keeps attention on missing persons issues. Other families are helped by resources developed over the years. Never forgotten. 43 years later, people still remember Kristen. Her case is still discussed. Her name lives on. The current status, 2024. As of 2024, the family, still searching, still hoping for answers, still advocating for Kristen. The investigation, still open, still active to varying degrees. Tips still accepted. The community, Idaho Falls, still remembers Kristen. The case is still discussed. People still care. What the family wants. After 43 years, the David family's wishes are simple. Answers. What happened to Kristen? Where is she? Who took her? Justice. The person who took Kristen held accountable. Legal consequences for the perpetrator. Recognition that a terrible crime was committed. Closure. Being able to bring Kristen home. Having a place to visit, to mourn. Being able to finally lay their daughter to rest. Peace after 43 years of agony. A message to Kristen. If there's any afterlife, any way, Kristen knows. Kristen, your family never stopped loving you. They never stopped searching. They never gave up. You were taken from them, but you were never forgotten. Your life mattered. Your absence has been felt every single day for 43 years. You are loved. A message to the family. To the David family, your strength and perseverance over 43 years is extraordinary. You've endured the unendurable. You've lived with the worst kind of loss, losing a child and not knowing what happened. Your advocacy for Kristen has kept her case alive. Your love for her has never wavered. This video is for you. It's to keep Kristen's case alive. It's to reach someone who might have information. It's to bring you, hopefully, one step closer to answers. Final thoughts. Kristen David was 14 years old when someone took her. She was delivering advertising flyers on a Friday afternoon in June. She was doing nothing wrong, nothing risky. She was just being a teenager earning some money. And someone, a monster, took that life away. For 43 years, Kristen's family has lived without her. For 43 years, they've searched. For 43 years, they've hoped for answers. Somewhere out there, those answers exist. Somewhere, someone knows what happened to Kristen David. Maybe that someone is watching this video. Maybe that someone will finally do the right thing. For Kristen. For the David family who has searched for 43 years. For justice. The case remains open. The search continues. And the question remains, what happened to Kristen David? Before we close this investigation, I need to talk to you about the power you have right now to help solve this case. Kristen David disappeared 43 years ago, but this case can still be solved, and you can be part of the solution. Here's exactly what I need you to do. Action number 1. Subscribe to Untold Cold Cases Files right now. Click that subscribe button. Here's why it matters. The David family has been searching for 43 years. For decades. Kristen will be 57 years old now. Her parents have spent their entire adult lives searching for their daughter. They need help. They need people to care. They need this case to stay alive in the public consciousness. When you subscribe to this channel, you help us reach more people. You help us keep cold cases alive. You help families get the attention they deserve. You become part of a community that solves cases. We've already helped bring attention to cases that led to new tips. Your subscription matters. Do it now. Action number 2. Like this video. Hit that like button right now. Here's why. YouTube's algorithm is simple. High engagement equals more reach. When this video gets likes, YouTube shows it to people in Idaho. It reaches people who lived in Idaho Falls in 1981. It gets to people interested in cold cases who might have information. It appears in searches related to missing persons. Your single click could get this video in front of the person who knows something. Someone who was in Idaho Falls in 1981. Someone who saw something. Someone whose conscience has bothered them for 43 years. Click that like button. Do it for Kristen. Do it for her family. Action number 3. Share this video. Here's exactly how. This is the most important action. Don't just think about sharing. Actually do it right now. On Facebook, post this video with this message. In 1981, 14-year-old Kristen David disappeared while delivering flyers in Idaho Falls, Idaho. She has never been found. If you lived in Idaho in 1981, if you know anyone who did, please watch and share this. Someone knows something. Share in Idaho community groups, Idaho Falls specific groups, 1980s nostalgia groups, true crime groups, missing persons groups. On Reddit, post to r/unresolved mysteries, r/true crime, r/Idaho, r/Idaho Falls if it exists, r/cold cases. On Twitter /X, tweet with hashtags, hashtag Kristen David, hashtag Idaho Falls, hashtag Idaho, hashtag missing person, hashtag cold case number 1981, hashtag find Kristen, hashtag justice. Tag at Idaho State Police, at FBI. Via email/text. Think about specific people who need to see this. Anyone who lived in Idaho Falls in 1981. Anyone who grew up in Idaho. Anyone whose family was in Idaho in the 1980s. Anyone who works in law enforcement. Anyone who owns property in Idaho Falls. Send them this video personally with a message. This case is 43 years old, but can still be solved. Please watch and share. Personal messages get watched more than public posts. Send this directly to people. Action number 4. Specific calls to action. If you live in Idaho Falls in June 1981, this is critical. You may have information you don't even realize is important. Think back to June 26, 1981. Were you in the area where Kristen was delivering flyers? Did you see a young girl on a bike that day? Did you see any vehicles or people that seemed out of place? Did you notice anyone acting strangely in the days after? Did you know anyone who left Idaho Falls suddenly after that date? Even if you think your information is insignificant, report it. Idaho Falls Police Department, 208-529-1200. Idaho State Police, 208-209-8620. FBI, 1-800-CALL-FBI. You can report anonymously if you own property in or around Idaho Falls, especially property you've owned since the 1980s or earlier. Search your land thoroughly. Check old structures, sheds, wells. Look in areas you don't usually go. Check near water in wooded areas. Use metal detectors if possible. Might find Kristen's bike or belongings. You might be the person who finds Kristen and finally brings her home. If you know someone who lived in Idaho Falls in 1981, send them this video. Even if they don't think they know anything, seeing this might trigger a memory. People who were teenagers or young adults in 1981 are now in their 60s and 70s. Time is running out for them to come forward. If you were friends with Kristen or knew her, your memories matter. Your stories keep her alive. Share them. Tell people about who Kristen was, not just a victim, but a person. A 14-year-old girl with dreams and a future. If you work in law enforcement, search and rescue, or have relevant expertise, contact Idaho Falls Police about volunteering. Offer new search techniques or technology. Suggest areas that haven't been searched. Provide expertise that might help. Action number 5, long-term commitment. Don't just watch this video and forget about Kristen tomorrow. This month, share this video at least once more. Look up Kristen's case online and read more. Keep her face and story in your mind. This year, share this video on June 26th, the anniversary of her disappearance. If you visit Idaho, remember Kristen and stay alert. Continue engaging with updates on the case. Long term, never forget Kristen David. If you're ever in Idaho Falls, think about her. Support the family's continued efforts. Keep the case alive in conversation. The power of one person. You might think, I'm just one person. What can I do? Here's the answer. You could be the person who solves this case. Here's how it works. You share this video. Your friend sees it and shares it. Their cousin in Idaho sees it. That cousin remembers something from 1981. They contact police. That information leads to solving the case. Kristen is found. Justice is served. The family finally has closure. It starts with you. Time is running out. This is urgent. Here's why. Anyone who was an adult in 1981 is now 60+ years old. Witnesses are aging. Memories continue to fade. Some witnesses have already died. The perpetrator might be elderly or dying. Every year that passes makes solving this harder. We need to solve this case now, while there's still time, while witnesses are still alive, while the person who took Kristen might still confess. If you were involved in Kristen's disappearance, if you know what happened, you've carried this secret for 43 years. That's a long time. You might be old now. You might be dying. Your conscience might bother you. Do the right thing. Tell what happened. Tell where Kristen is. The David family deserves to know. Kristen deserves to be found and laid to rest properly. You can't undo what you did, but you can give them closure. Call Idaho Falls Police, 208-529-1200. Call anonymously if you must. But call. It's never too late to do the right thing. Thank you for spending the last 42 minutes learning about Kristen David. Thank you for caring about a 14-year-old girl who disappeared in 1981, who was taken from her family, who has never been found. But caring isn't enough. Action is what matters. So right now, subscribe to this channel. Like this video. Share this video on every platform you have. Send it to specific people who might have information. Do it right now, not later. Now, this is Untold Cold Cases Files, where every missing person matters. Every case deserves justice, and every family deserves answers. For Kristen, for the David family who has searched for 43 years, for the 14-year-old girl who just wanted to deliver some flyers and come home for dinner. Kristen David is somewhere, and together, we're going to find her. Thank you. Now, go take action. Share this video. Help bring Kristen home.